Welcome, everybody, to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I am your host. This is a podcast all about my business adventures and side quests. And a new side quest that we started is Conversations with Jeremy, a show or an episode where I sit down with an entrepreneur or a creator and we deep dive and have a fun conversation about all of the stuff that they have going on. And that is what we are going to do today. I have an amazing guest, my good friend Mario De Sousa, also known as Link with Mario, which I will do a intro for him in a moment. But before I do that, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by one of my businesses that Mario is also a part of also, which is Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. You can track your entire crypto portfolio, build exit strategies, and receive real-time sales alerts all in one simple dashboard. And I'm not logged into it. I probably should have grabbed our demonstration account and logged in to show you exactly how it works. But it was kind of, am I going to show this or am I going to show my Q Financial website that I just updated? And since Mario's here, I felt that it was the right thing to show Merlin, because Mario is also the customer experience officer with Merlin, and he is doing a fantastic job. So you can get 30 days for free. What Merlin does, it allows you to see and view all of your coins in one simple dashboard. You can have up to 30 API connections and unlimited manual wallets and exchanges. It also allows you to know your overall portfolio. You can view your holdings and allocations across all of your exchanges and wallets. And you also have the ability to create an exit strategy. So one of the problems with cryptocurrency, or even with stocks or bonds or anything that you're investing in, is people tend to just hold them and hold them and hold them because they're always trying to catch the top. But what Merlin allows you to do is, rather than we're focusing on catching the top, take profits along the way so that you can either reallocate them into other cryptocurrency, maybe redeploy them into a business venture, maybe put it in cash value life insurance. But again, you don't want to just always try to catch the top. If you're trying to catch the top, you're probably going to fail and you're going to miss out on opportunities. So Merlin allows you to create these exit strategies to set your target sell points per each asset. And then you get notified when your assets approach their targets, so you know when it's time to actually go onto the exchange and sell. And also, the other great thing about this is we don't actually hold any of your keys. So your coins are never at risk. We partner with a company called Vesgo, a SOC 2 Type 2 certified data provider. And so we have interconnections with them. So if something did unfortunately happen and someone did get into our Merlin database, they wouldn't be able to actually do anything in specific account, because again, you can't go into Merlin and buy and sell. It's used as a dashboard. So again, anybody who signs up, you get 30 days to try it for free. And if, like, after 15 days, you're like, you know what, this might not be the app for me, we make it super easy to cancel. But one of the things I know Mario's going to want me to highlight is this down here. You can actually go down here and talk to customer support. You can send them a message. We actually also have hours where you can call in and talk to a live human. So if you need help understanding how Merlin works, setting up an exit strategy, you can reach out to them as well. So again, go and get Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, 30 days for free. And so with that, again, I want to start my amazing conversation with my good friend, Mario, also known as Link with Mario. But before I bring him up, just kind of want to give him a few little shout outs. Mario, better known online now as Link with Mario, which we're going to talk about, is a multidisciplinary entrepreneur, investor, and digital innovation strategist who's redefining how we connect technology, customer experience, and financial intelligence. Mario currently serves as the customer experience officer at Merlin, again, the company that I was just talking about, the smartest way to track your crypto, where he's shaping the future of how we automate portfolio intelligence and user experience for our digital asset investors. He's also part of the crypto and the IT team at our business 3T Warrior Academy. He helps designs the systems. He helps us with all the back end stuff so that we can create an engaged financial education community, one of the top ones in the world. And he's also one of the owners and founders, I believe, of Omni Boulevard. He might yell at me. He might not be a founder, but he is an owner of Omni Boulevard. Mario builds modern business frameworks that help creators and brands automate, integrate, and scale. He's also the mind behind this new project that we're going to talk about today, the XRP Investor. So in our conversation, we're going to explore how Mario bridges all of this together in his life. And so I'm really excited to have him here to bring him up now. So Mario, how's it going? Did you hear any of that?
I heard everything.
Sweet. I never know.
So honored.
I never know if anybody can hear anything while I'm talking.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, cool. So hopefully some of that was accurate. I'll be honest with you. What
perfect.
I did was I took a bunch of information about you and I put it into ChatGPT, and then I had ChatGPT write that for me. And I did it so fast that I threw it up there and I briefly read it.
Wait, you didn't use Copilot? I'm surprised.
I didn't use Copilot, no. So how's your day going, sir? I know that we have a lot that I want to talk about, but let's start with what's been going on today. I know you're a busy man.
Doing amazing, Jeremy. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, on your show, and I'm just super excited to be here. And it was really awesome to hear the introduction. I really appreciate the kind words and how you put everything, and everything was spot on. I am allowed to say that I'm also a co-founder of Omni Boulevard, even though the company, but this new direction of the company, was influenced by me becoming a part of it. So I am allowed to say that I'm also a co-founder and owner there. So thank you so much.
And John's on here. I want to and John, I want to give a shout out to John. He was actually in our Warrior Academy call, and I think you might have left the call to come to see this interview as well. So John, I really appreciate you for doing that. And then also I want to throw this up here because I think when you were on Good Morning Crypto, you were on Good Morning Crypto, they called you a is it Mar-a-Lago Mario? Is that what they would call you?
It was Mar-a-Lago Mario.
Mar-a-Lago, like the place in Florida, Trump's state, right?
Yeah, Trump's estate.
So again, before we jump into some of these questions, why did they call you that?
So when Trump released the meme coin in early this year, in January this year, I was in our group chat, with me, Abs, Johnny, and Gonzo, which is the crypto team at the time. So in our group chat, I was like, guys, I think that Trump just launched a meme coin. And this was like probably within an hour of it happening, but nobody was sure if it was legit or not. And I'm like, guys, I'm jumping in, not putting a lot of money, but whatever I'm willing to lose. So I jumped in and I ended up 10xing in like 24 hours. So then that story was shared on Good Morning Crypto. And then I don't know who started it, but somebody was like, I think Abs kind of joked around it by saying, Mario has the inside sources. He was there on the floor. He knew firsthand that it was in fact Trump's meme coin. And that's kind of how it rolled up. And people
started calling you Mar-a-Lago Mario. Yeah. That's funny.
That's funny.
That's funny. How often were you on the Good Morning Crypto show? I know it kind of like
all the time.
Because Johnny came off like for a while there, he was never on it. And then every time Abs was like by himself, and then like I would like reach out to you and be like, hey Mario, can you do a meeting at this time? And the time that meetings worked for me was always during the Good Morning Crypto show. So you're like, I can't, I'm on the Good Morning Crypto show. Do you miss being on it frequently?
I do. It was definitely a great experience that we got to do for quite a long time, actually. So it developed a habit. It developed like something that I looked forward to in the morning. The community is amazing. John, being on the chat here, he was always there with us. So I definitely missed that about it. And I used to be on every day in the beginning. And in the past year, I was on maybe like 2-3 times a week due to having to work.
Right, because you run 9 businesses. Yeah. Which I'm kind of curious when we get into it, how you found the time to work on the XRP Investor thing. Because like I was on a call with Johnny, and Johnny has a tendency to sometimes he'll like bring people into the meeting, and then sometimes he'll just call the person. Yeah. Like this last month, not this Monday, but the week before, I had a conversation with James through the computer on Johnny's actual cell phone, and James is our CTO for Chief Technology Officer for Merlin. So Johnny can be fun with that. So kind of to get us started here, I do want to talk about your beard though. Oof. I do want to start with that because you didn't have a beard.
No.
And now you have a beard, and I'm curious. It looks really good. Like you look really good with it. You look really like I guess prestigious. I guess like you look really good with a beard. Or like I tried to grow a beard in 2020. If you remember from, I think it was 2020 or 2021, I tried to grow a beard and it was horrible. It was just like exactly how it looks like now, but just thicker in the same spots. So there was no hair up here. There was no hair right here, like nothing. Are you are you just growing the beard on purpose, or is it just because you're so busy? Because that's the reason why I have my whatever the hell this is.
I mean, great question. I think that much like how women after giving birth can go into depression, I think that this is my depression version of not having Good Morning Crypto anymore. It's like, let me grow a beard. Let me see if I can find some comfort in just touching my beard every morning instead of doing Good Morning Crypto. But not jokes aside, I don't know. It was just like I went a couple of weeks without shaving in early November. And then I remember like looking at the mirror, I'm like, man, I need to shave. But then at the same time, I was like, this is the longest I've had it in a really long time. And it is no shave November for the people that do it. I don't typically do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, I turned to my wife and I said, I'm just not going to shave for November. And here we are like 10 days into December. And I still haven't shaved. So I don't know. I'm kind of just seeing where it goes. It is intentional, but at the same time, I have no direction.
Are you trimming it though at all? Because like,
no, I haven't trimmed. The only thing I've done is just,
yeah. Because like right here, like it doesn't look thicker. Like it looks like pretty even in thickness. This is going to be a conversation.
Yeah.
If you need 5,000 bottles of beard oil, let me know, because there is so much refined integrity beard oil out there. I also wanted to put this, John put this here in the chat as well, that now you look 25 and not 17 anymore. So that you also,
that was another,
I was going to say too, though, you look more, if people don't know, you're from Portugal.
Yep.
You look more Portuguese now, though. Like if that, I don't know if that means anything. Or not.
I look like a Manuel or Jose.
Correct. Yes, you look more ethnic with it. All right. So to jump us into some more conversations about you. You used to be called the Node Defender, and I'm not gonna lie. Out of all the people that I've met along social media sphere, that was my favorite name out of every single person, whether it be the Bearable Bull. Like obviously, I like the Bearable Bull, but that's pretty on the nose, right? Bearable Bull. There's Thinking Crypto. There's Kevin Cage. I don't know if he has a persona. There was what was the guy that got messed up his whole life? BitBoy. There was BitBoy, right? But Node Defender, in my opinion, has been my favorite name out of all of them. But now you don't go by Node Defender anymore, and it's linked with Mario.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I know that you've been linked with Mario for a while now. But what was the reasoning behind? Like, was it rebranding? Was it based off of a specific strategy?
Yeah. It was intentional, because at the end of the day, Node Defender was very tied into crypto. And I didn't want to just be known for being this crypto guy that did nodes that were not exciting anymore. So being the Node Defender was cool back in 2021. As soon as nodes took a really big hit and became the biggest Ponzi schemes of crypto history, it wasn't cool to have Node in the name anymore.
Well, not all of them are Ponzi schemes. Like some of them, like Gala, again, like the price of certain things were so, I guess, overvalued on a lot of the stuff. But then there were things like strong nodes that seemed to be kind of somewhat of a, not like, I don't think it was intentionally a Ponzi scheme. I just don't think there was any like ability to create other type of revenue. Is that like outside of just offering the coin?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. But nodes are still an intricate part of the crypto space.
Absolutely. They are. The true nodes are still a core part of how a blockchain works. Most blockchains. It's just that, again, like I wanted to expand beyond crypto, and Link with Mario is not necessarily a brand. Like I'm not trying to be called Link with Mario. It's just that I was trying to figure out a different handle for my social media. And so I definitely wanted to have my name in there. My full name wasn't really an option because it was just so saturated. I didn't want to put like Mario De Sousa 1567. So I just started thinking, okay, what is like a catchy handle that I can use to make it really simple, where I could tell somebody, hey, you can find me on social media at Link with Mario. So
and that was the other thing too, because like I know Selman for a long time always referred to me as Age of Jeremy, and I was like, Selman, it's not like, it's just a handle. It's not like it's not like a name. It just went along with Age of Radio when I did it, and all of the stuff that I traditionally talk about is just the stuff about me, because I like talking about myself apparently. So it was all with me. It was like, oh, this will be like my Age of Jeremy thing. And then John put a nice quote in here, and then I'll get on to the next question. But honestly, why did Good Morning Crypto break up? which coincided with the biggest
Ooh.
crash in crypto. GMC was better with all of you guys. Yeah, I appreciate that, John. I really liked I thought everybody did an amazing job with the show. Even when everybody was on it, it was really it was amazing.
It was.
I'm sure
was
there'll be some more shows in the future.
We're all evolving.
Yeah, I guess that's really what it is evolution. So you started your first business was UTech,
Correct.
right? Can you walk me through your journey into entrepreneurship and getting into UTech?
Yeah, so I've been super into technology since really young age. You know, I used to live in Portugal. I was born in Portugal, grew up in Portugal until I was 11. And I remember a couple of my friends used to have computers. We had computers at school, and it just fascinated me. Everything about the computers just fascinated me. But I couldn't afford to have one. My parents couldn't afford to have one, so I never had one until I was 12, which is when I actually moved to the United Kingdom. I lived in an island called Jersey, which is part of the United Kingdom. And that's where, at that point, ended up having a computer at home. And so I just grew this passion for everything that was technology. So when I came to America in 2013 or 2012, when I came to America in 2012, my uncle has been here for a really long time. And he helped me with coming to America and like getting situated and stuff like that. So then when I ended up getting a job, we always stayed in touch, and he always kind of said, you know, it would be cool, maybe we could open a business together one day. So a year later, he really got super serious about it, and he was like, why don't we open up a phone repair shop or like an electronics store? That was the grand idea of it, was for it to be an electronics store. But I really saw a vision for repair shops so the repair business became massive. It became a multi-billion-dollar industry in America. And I was there in the beginning when it was all getting started. So in that 2013, 2014, repair shops was starting to become a thing, but it wasn't until like 2017, 2018 that things really exploded and everybody was wanting to get into a repair shop. So I noticed that there was a need for high quality professional repairs in that neighborhood. And I was like, yes, let's do an electronics store, but let's give it an Apple store type of approach, which is not going to be your typical New York style electronics stores that you go in there and you find microwaves
It's funny that you mentioned that, because until I saw one of your advertisements, that's literally what I pictured your store to be. Just like a repair store, was just like a bunch of electronics that you were trying to repair. But when like I saw the videos of it, it was more like an Apple store, really, to be honest with you. Like the way that you had the layout, the cleanliness, the design. So yeah, that's what I thought, but continue.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought, is because it was a very competitive neighborhood. There was, at the time when I opened, 12 other stores within like a 6-block distance or radius. And so I was like, listen, I thought to myself, if I'm going to open up something like this in such a competitive market, I need to be different. And I took a really big gamble at being super, super different, being the complete end of the spectrum. But at the same time, I was like, there is demand for repairs. And I've got this technical background. I've worked at Apple before. I've got an IT certification. I'm going to create a dedicated space and environment for repairs where people can trust bringing their equipment to us. And so that's what I did. And that's really what allowed us to stand out. It wasn't the fact we had a pre-owned iPhone at the time 6, because the store across the street, actually the 3 stores I had across the street from me, literally 3 stores across the street from me, had the same iPhone 6. But people preferred coming to me because I had quality of service. And that's where it eventually now, migrates over to Merlin and what we're doing in Merlin. I had always really good attention to customer service, and I had really good attention to customer experience. It was the fact they came into a nice store. They got a product that was backed by warranty. They got a nice bag that the product went in. And so it was about creating that experience. And that's what allowed me to stand out in the middle of so much competition.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What do you think? So obviously you still have one UTech. You still have the one UTech store, correct?
I do.
But you've decided to divest out of UTech. So I have this 2-part question. One, what have been some of the most difficult things that you've had to deal with being an entrepreneur as it relates to the time that you were in UTech, along with doing other businesses while also still trying to run UTech? And then what's been like the most difficult part having to divest out of that business?
So the biggest thing I would say is it's definitely delegation. But my problem with delegation was that I didn't create enough processes, so the business depended completely on me. And I realized that in 2020 when I opened up a second location, and now all of a sudden my attention was divided between two different places. I was just overwhelmed with constantly having to put out fires between the two locations, and just the businesses relied on me tremendously for the day-to-day running of the operation. So delegation was something that I was terrible at, that I didn't do a very good job at, and that's because I have this perfectionism type of mentality. And so for me, my mind was like, I'll just do it myself because I know I'm going to do it the way that I want it, the way that I think is perfect, or the way that I think is appropriate. And so I would not get the people around me, my staff, involved enough, or I wouldn't give them enough responsibility so that they could also help me. So that was the biggest challenge that I had, for sure.
Yeah, delegation is one of the biggest things that I have. Not only delegation, but like one of the things that that I've been aware of, but didn't like force myself to take the time to do. Like we'll take Antonio. So Antonio works with you as customer service at Merlin, and also works with me in Q Financial and 3T for bookkeeping and financial stuff. One of the things that has been that I had to learn was the more that I take the time to teach them and then create those processes, the more that he picks up and learns it, and then he can literally do the stuff, which was always my thing. I always feel like, oh, I have to do this. It's going to take too long to teach him, which it did take a long time. I'm not going to lie, but like taking that extra time now, like I used to do like payroll on Tuesdays, do like financial stuff on Tuesdays into Wednesdays, and now like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I can just completely do different stuff because he literally does all of it now. And he's doing a great job at it. But that's also one of the hard parts for me that's been with me for delegation, is making sure that they have the skills and the knowledge to do it, so that they can then like do it on their own, because then that frees up all of that time.
I once heard a mentor, and this was probably in a podcast. I can't remember exactly who said it, but the rule of thumb is if you have somebody that can do the task at the same level as you or better, then delegate it. Don't try to do it yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with that 100%. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to work for in everything, because you're part, for the most part, of every single business that I have, or someone in your family is also. So it's just kind of like everything kind of gets intertwined. But like that's the key, is to really find the people that can do it, or get them to the level that you're at, do it, and then just they can go and do it. Why is if you want to go, you don't have to go deep into it, but why have you decided to get out of the repair business and divest out of UTech? And I know that there's some I guess personal stuff that's involved with that, but also I've heard you also tell me too that it may not be able to grow the way that you wanted it to grow, or thought that it could grow either.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's an industry that, unfortunately, in my opinion, is going to have a tendency to decrease, because one, the retail aspect of that business is the sales of electronics, and the sales of electronics are being completely taken over by the big guys. It's just too difficult for a small business in the line of what I do to be able to compete with prices. It's impossible for me to be able to compete with the price of an iPad that Amazon has available, and the price of a computer that Best Buy has available. So it was only for so long that I was able to create this experience of like, okay, you're buying it from a local small shop retailer. And we got to 2020 and 2021. That's when things really changed. People opened up so much to actually buying stuff online. I feel like that what we went through as far as the pandemic in 2020, it really changed people's mentalities. And so from that point forward, it became really difficult to sell the devices based on an experience. The repairs is what has been able to keep us alive. But with the repairs, unfortunately, the way that devices are made nowadays, we are literally headed in a direction where the repairability is coming down dramatically. Before, we used to be able to replace. I'll give the example of a computer. If your hard drive died, you would open up the computer, you take out the hard drive, you put a new one, install the operating system, and that's it. You're good. The new computers, they're built into the motherboard. So unless you've got the expertise within your business to be able to micro solder it to replace the component, then it's probably going to have to be a motherboard replacement. So what that means is repairability has become more difficult, more expensive. People are less likely to want to repair it. If you have a $500 computer that before you could repair it for $100, now it's going to cost $300. People are going to start saying, well, for $300, I'll just buy a new one. So it's, unfortunately, it is, in my opinion, I wouldn't say a dying industry, but it's a decreasing industry. And I just felt like I needed to pivot. I needed to apply my expertise and everything that I was learning into other ventures that had more of a futuristic opportunity. And so that's the primary reason.
Do you think that the companies are doing that on purpose to make it more difficult to get them to be repairable, so that they can then because I mean, when you think about it, I mean, I talked to the person that we know that's in the battery industry. And like batteries are
leaking batteries.
And so, well, we won't say the name of the company, but in the battery industry, like that's also one of the things too, that not to say that they don't want to somehow get a power source that lasts forever, but the thing about the batteries is you always have to keep buying the batteries. And so, like, when we think about tech, if you're making something that never needs to be that can be repaired or never, then it means that it has to be repurchased, right? And so that's how they can do it, or they need to be the ones that repair it, so that they need to have the specialty to manage the repair of whatever that it specifically is. But there are some things that still like repair, like my phone. I don't know where my phone's at, but my phone's broken. That can still be, there's still things that can be repaired. It's just that it's going more towards that.
And there's been a lot of different movements that have created this environment for repair shops. Obviously I outlined some examples, but there's been some movements like big name brands acquiring chains of repair shops, so trying to monopolize that industry. Also the big brands, Apple, Samsung, they've created programs to incentivize their own users of their devices to repair with them or replace with them. Carriers like Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T, they've also introduced programs that for a very little fee, like as little as $30 deductible, you can get your screen replaced on an iPhone 15 that typically would cost us, or we would charge $300. So is somebody going to pay us $300 to replace the screen, or are they going to pay their carrier $30 to get the phone replaced?
Right.
So there's been a lot of these different components that have just made this industry a lot more difficult. And so, I don't want to say it's a dying industry, but I think it's an industry that eventually is just going to become very specialized. So it's like, unless you specialize in a certain type of devices and you're really good at it, and it's a niche and there isn't really any other or there isn't a lot of available options, then it's going to become very difficult to be in that industry.
Yeah. What's been the most difficult part about, because you still have the one
We do. Yep.
Store. So what's been because like you're actively trying to sell it, correct?
Yeah, it's listed in the market. We've been proactively lowering the price to see if we get any sort of interest, and we've gotten really close. Like, we were as close as literally within 2 weeks of handing it over to somebody. Personal reasons, the person pulled out, but whatever. But I think it's I think the majority of people are aware. But honestly, the big problem that I have right now is that, so I'm not active in the business on a day-to-day basis. I talk to my employees almost every day, but I'm not helping them with the running of the business per se. The business is opening in the morning, it's closing at night, everything's getting done. So I've made that transition of the mistakes that I made initially to where now it's fully autonomous and it runs by itself. It's also running by itself financially. So it's not a very cash interesting business. And unfortunately, the individuals that are interested in acquiring the business and that are in the market right now trying to acquire businesses is the individuals that are looking to invest in the business and not necessarily run it. And therefore, they're looking for businesses that are generating good cash.
God, so it doesn't have the cash flow that they're looking for, because they're trying to just buy it, so that they're buying cash flow, essentially, is what they're trying.
They're not looking to buy a business and put work into it. They just want to buy a business that's already generating some, maybe do little tweaks. And unfortunately, with my business, it would be a great business for somebody who's passionate about that type of business and would want to work in the business. Then they could take a salary. But for somebody who just wants to buy it and look to take profits to pay it off, there's a lot of changes that would need to be made and a lot of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. What I want to talk about now is I want to talk about Omni Boulevard and my dog. There's something out front. If you can hear my dogs in the background, are they going? Can you hear them?
I hear them a little bit.
Yeah. Freaking. I don't know.
It's not terrible though.
Well, there's a cult of cats outside, and like half of them, like I'm not kidding you. There's like these 3 cats, and they come and they literally sit in the front yard and watch the dogs bark at them for like 15, 20 minutes. It's the most ridiculous thing that there is. But anyway, but I did want to talk about Omni Boulevard here for a second, or for a little bit here. I do want to share the screen so people can see it, to kind of get an idea. It's not the inside of it. But essentially, over the last how long has it been since you started with doing the Omni Boulevard?
3 years. Coming up on 3 years.
3 years?
Coming up on 3 years.
No.
It's 2 years and a half, safely. Yep.
What?
It was around June of 23. So it's been 2 years and a half. Yep.
That is crazy.
I know.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you got into this and like what Omni Boulevard does and why it's beneficial.
So I met Louis and Claudia, who are my partners in Omni Boulevard. They created Omni Boulevard many years ago to be a global marketing agency. To be honest, that was their main goal for it. It was to cater any company around the world, and or nationwide for that, at least in the beginning. And I actually met Louis through the academy. I just so happened to stumble upon his name, and I recognized his last name for being Portuguese. Clicked on his profile, and I was like, "Oh, he's from the same town that I'm from in New Jersey, or that I was living at the time in New Jersey." So I decided to reach out. We connected. We became friends. We became really good friends. We would meet once in a while and chat. And then when I began doing my transition away from UTech in 23, one day we met, and this was probably like 3 months after I completely stepped away from the business. So I was no longer going in on a day-to-day basis to work in the business. We met for coffee, and I was like, listen, I'm trying to get this thing because I've always liked the internet aspect of technology. Yeah. So at the age of 14, I built my own website, and what it was just it was just a directory of like streaming links for music and a directory of online games, those Flash online games.
Oh,
that's cool. And that's because at school, whenever we had free time on the computers, that's what we would do. We would go on these websites that had these online Flash games and these online streaming directories. And so I was like, I'll just create my own and then share it with all my friends. So I always had this passion for the internet side of technology. And so I told him, listen, I think I'm going to start like trying to get clients, businesses do their website, help them with that aspect of marketing. And that's what he was doing. And so he ended up inviting me to come in one day and kind of get a feel of how he's running his business. And then he let me into Omni Boulevard, and then we began talking. And basically, the big idea is that there was this CRM platform which has gone absolutely huge ever since I got introduced to it. And they used to be called Go High Level. Now they're called High Level. And they're basically
they go by High Level now? Because I keep calling them Go High Level.
Yeah, they're rebranding. They just want to go by high level now, no longer the Go High Level.
Yeah.
And so he introduced me to the platform, and he was like, listen, this thing is huge. This thing is amazing what it can do. Start with it and let's see what you can come up with. And so I got really good at automations and workflows. And then the AI started coming into play, and AI started becoming a very big thing. So we decided to pivot the company to be more centered around the AI and more centered around the CRM and the all-in-one CRM component of the platform. And so what High Level allows anybody to do is to white label their solution. And so that's what we did. We white labeled it as Omni Boulevard. We actually used to be called Omni Boulevard Pro as far as that's concerned. But because now we just want to be CRM first and then digital marketing services second, then we decided to rename it to Omni Boulevard.
Are there other things though that you've integrated into your white label or to your business's Omni Boulevard that's different than if they just went and got High Level? Because can someone go and just get High Level as a CRM by itself? But there's other things that you do as well, correct?
Yeah, 100%. So over the years, we've built a lot of custom stuff inside of High Level, which we make available to our clients. We also have the expertise. Lewis just became High Level certified. He's the first one in the team. Me and Claudia are also going to become certified here soon. It's not that we couldn't do it before. It's just that we've been so busy. And so he's the one.
You run 9 businesses, so
yes. So we have the certification in-house. That means that so anybody can go into gohighlevel.com and sign up for an account, but you're going to get their regular support. You're going to have to build things on your own. You're going to have to figure out things on your own for the most part. But then you have these white labelers like Omni Boulevard, who are going to give you a specific solution. And then they're going to give you the backbone of support. So our support is ours. If you sign up to Omni Boulevard, you're getting our version of Go High Level, which is the same Go High Level, but just branded to us. But then you're getting our support team. You're not getting High Level support team. You're getting our support team. You have the ability to get additional services if you want us to help you more. So if you want us to build things for you, we can build things for you. And then we're also working on a lot of integrations, which primarily have come from a demand of working with various different clients. So we're also developing now. And that's really the really exciting part, is that we're developing apps to create integrations with High Level, in this case, Omni Boulevard, the platform.
Got it. So your apps would then be for anybody that has High Level, or would your apps just be utilized into High Level for Omni?
If they would be available to everybody that has High Level.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
So
is that
cool.
something that you specifically are doing?
My department. Yep.
Okay. And so what who is the ideal client then for Omni? Because we use Omni for Merlin. So we use it for a lot of marketing purposes. We use it for lead generation. We use it for the automations. The place where we got a lot of success was at 3T Warrior Academy, mainly because of the integrations that you have through social media. So you can integrate it into social media. So like when on 3T Warrior Academy or Coach JV pages, if it says, hey, click Warrior to find out about our, Warrior Ascension or whatever, it then starts an automation that then has a workflow that can keep going back, having conversations with people in social media to get them to maybe set up a call with one of our salespeople for Warrior Ascension, which when we made that switch, that was one of the biggest shifts that we had made. And a lot of our growth in 2020, did we do that in 2024? Yeah. At the end of 2024, quarter 4 of 2024, our growth exponentially grew because of the fact that we were able to utilize what was inside of Omni Boulevard for those automations. And now we integrated that into Merlin recently, along with some of the email automations. So is that what it's the ideal client is for? Because then in Freedom Insurance, we also use it for our insurance company. But in Freedom Insurance, we use it to keep better track of notes for clients. We have a whole, all of our information for our insurance clients, we input in there, we store all of that. So there's lots of different possibility use cases that people can do, but who is it that you're really targeting?
That's a great question. And the clear answer to that is any business that's willing to grow or that wants to grow. And we came to this realization like throughout the years. Like I said, I've been with Omni with Omni Boulevard for 2.5 years. We've been in this dilemma of who's our ideal client? Who do we go after? Are we going after medical? Are we going after the insurance agencies? Are we going after creators? And we realized that we need to go after everybody. And the reason why we decided that we're going to go after everybody is because within the team, we've got the expertise of a lot of different industries. Lewis has worked in, I think he said, like 10 different industries throughout his life. And then he's been running a digital agency, helping again, multiple different types of businesses. Claudia, the same thing. Me also being involved in multiple different industries. So we believe that our software and the way that we can implement, we're very creative as individuals. The three of us, we're very creative. We get together, and if we have a client in an industry that we've never had before, we're still able to brainstorm ideas to help resolve their issues. So we have not gotten to a point where it's like, oh, we've got this client and we don't know how to help him. Like we've been able to literally come up with very creative ideas. So that's why, and this is very recent. I want to say like the last 3 months, and especially once we attended the High Level event in October in Texas, we realized at that point that we were ready to literally help every type of business. And we know that the platform is capable of helping every type of business, whether you are like Merlin. Merlin is an application, crypto tracking app. and it can leverage the platform for marketing. It can leverage the platform. We use it for the AI customer service whenever our agents
Oh
are
yeah.
not working. Our agents cannot work 24/7. So if somebody who's using the app and they run into a snag and they need assistance, or they need help and they want to call the phone number, and we don't have somebody live that can answer at that time because it's maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, then the AI is going to be like, hey, how can I help you? And maybe it is a simple question. Maybe they just want to know, how do I connect to Coinbase? I'm having issues. Oh, let me guide you. This is where you can go to connect to Coinbase. So we believe every business has the need at this point in today's day to have that 24/7 component. And that's one thing that the platform can do very well through its AI agents.
But going after all of the businesses, so like one of the things that we do in marketing or try to do in marketing is we try to get like customer avatars or customer audiences. So like
Mhm.
we have a specific type of need that needs to be met. Do we fit that need? And then we put marketing towards that specific need of those
Yeah.
people, right? And so what's the plan that you have, or how, if you've thought about it, what's the plan that you have to go be able to go after everybody? How does that marketing look like? Because I don't like, what marketing do you currently do for Omni that's, external marketing rather than just word of mouth and so forth, that does that, and how what is the strategy if you're going to go after everything?
So that's a great question. And so with regards to our marketing, we targeting, we're still gonna niche it down. So
Got it.
we're still gonna say, all right, we have this offer and it's for medical clients. All right, we have this offer and it's for insurance agents. We have this offer and it's for creators, whatever industry. So we are still creating offers and then targeting specific niches in the market, but we don't want to cap ourselves, because our grand vision is to create departments to literally serve every type of industry,
Got
or
it.
as
So,
many types of industry as possible. But we
yeah.
still feel like we say we cater everybody, but we are still doing our due diligence to make sure that we are able to assist a client whenever we meet with them. So
And John
thank you,
said you're a
John.
genius. And then also
Thanks, John.
to thank you, John, that we inspire him. Yeah. And John, you can reach out to me in the academy. I can help you with anything that you need as well. And that's one of the benefits of being part of the 3 Warrior Academy. You have access to ask me questions, and then depending on the question, you can also reach out and on my DMs on Instagram. But for the most part, love to have you be part of the 3 Warrior Academy. So then for the departments thing, to kind of talk about that. So then you're going to want to have, because like the banks kind of do this sometimes with their relationship management. They'll have a group that is specifically about financing for agriculture, and then there's
Mhm.
financing for the beer and wine industry, and then there's financing for whatever. Is that kind of like the idea that you're wanting to do with the different departments, that there's a group
Yeah,
of people that specialize in that specific industry?
correct.
Yeah.
Or at
Uh,
least for the industries that we have the most demand for. Because again, what
right.
we've seen is that the platform can do so much that it can do so much, but at the same time, it becomes very consistent across different industries. Really, the only thing that changes across the industry that they're offering, or their product or their service. But at the end of the day, when it comes to having a voice system, when it comes to tracking a lead, when it comes to having a CRM system, all of those things are pretty much the same across the board. And so we just want to provide these business owners with a platform that gives them a lot more. Like, much like you said, last year, it was a big game changer when 3T started using it, because now you had the ability to see everything. You had the ability to see people engaging in social media, how many of those people were converting, where they were not converting. So it gave you a bigger picture. And that's really where what we hone in, as far as like when we make our offers. It's like, look, this is what you can help. This is how we can help you as far as your business. So
Yeah. So over the time that you've had the stuff with UTech working with me, and 3T working on our digital fund company, Phoenix Crypto Assets, that we need to have a meeting for one day. Hopefully, none of them are listening to this. And so uh, and so you've had like a lot of, like, I mean, you've been a part of my life for 5-6 years now, probably something around there. And
five,
there's
yeah.
obviously a lot of growing and things that change throughout, time, especially with the businesses. But what do you think that you've learned from your experience with UTech, the experiences that we've had, that you're finding that's making it easier and better to do things inside of Merlin now, or inside of Omni, or some of your personal projects?
So the really cool part of all of it is that I find that it all it's all tying together. And that's the really cool part of all of it, because when I started going through my challenges, we've been talking about all the great stuff, starting these companies and whatever, but
Mhm.
as well, if not better than me, that starting a company is not that easy, and it's not instant
It's
success, and
the
you're
most
not going
hard pain in the ass thing there is. I keep doing it. So I don't know what that says about me. Go
yeah.
on. But
So so
continue,
you
Mario.
so you start these companies, and it's not instant gratification. You're not going to get the revenue right away. You're not going to get the attention right away. And so everything that I went through at UTech, and even the hard decision that I had to make to step away from the business as far as being involved with it every day, it put me in a position where then I had the opportunity to become part of Omni. And then at the same time, I was part of 3T. And then Merlin came about. And that's kind of in essence what made me realize that my potential was greater, and that I wanted more than just running a small store in a town. And
Right.
so all of this sequence of events have led to this moment where then other opportunities showed up. And so I think that the biggest lesson is that sometimes you're going through the toughest time, but that toughest time is just getting you ready for the next best time. So that's how it's been for me. And again, I'm still in that transition. I've been saying it to a couple of people in my circle. I'm involved in so many startups, and it's just like, it's crazy. At some point, something's got to give, because Merlin's a startup, Omni is technically still a startup, and now I'm starting another venture by myself, an app by myself, and it's like I'm doing all these things and I'm starting all these things. So at some point, something's got to give. But I just love doing it. I love the process of doing it.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest struggle has always been for me making sure that we have leverage for employees or for labor to help us do the things that we need to do. Like that's really the thing that I'm in right now, that I've been hiring more people, which has made me right.
Yeah.
Like so 3T Warrior Academy, Freedom Insurance, Q Financial, they do really, really well. Merlin's to a place where it's almost to a place where it's doing even beyond well. And so we're working on all these companies, but then like rather than taking that stuff and buying me stuff, right? Or so I take all that money and then I pour it in to the other project that I want to go, because I've realized that by doing that and getting more people, if we can get their skill set to the skill sets that we need, then that allows us to pour fire on it and for those things to grow even faster and further. But it just takes that sacrifice, which is hard, because when you have a lot of money coming in, or when you have money coming in, you want to buy the things that you've always wanted, because you're like, I've been working so hard for this one thing, and then you get it, and then like you're like, okay, well, I bought this, now I'm not able to do this other thing. And so I think that that's one of the biggest problems with starting businesses, is that we always try to utilize ourselves, but at the end of the day, you can't grow them unless you are really delegating and building the people. So
Yeah.
has the delegation stuff that you went through with Omni, have you been able, or not with Omni, with UTech, have you like changed on how you delegate now, the people in Omni that are underneath you? Like, can you walk me through a little bit of that, or is it because you've had to have learned something?
Oh, 100%. One of the most important things you can do is learn from your mistakes. So I'm making sure I don't make that mistake again. And at the same time, one of the things that I'm doing is exercising that muscle of allowing the people to make mistakes. Because that was the big thing for me at running UTech, was like, I told you that you got to tell this to the customer and you didn't. And that's why the customer reacted that way. But allowing the people to make the mistakes is what's going to allow them to grow. And obviously you've got to make assessments. If one of your employees is making the same mistake over and over again, then that just becomes incompetence.
Right. Either they're not trying or they're completely incompetent.
Yeah. But obviously you have to make that assessment, but you need to be able to allow the people to make the mistakes, because that's how they're going to learn. And you need to be able to give them that wiggle room to make the mistakes as well. So that has definitely been the big thing for me. I kind of just give way more space. And especially in my position in Omni, the people working underneath me, I need them to be technical, creative. So I need to give them the ability to show their true colors. And as much as I want them to run the company, or at least help the company in the way that I want them to help the company, I want to see what skill sets they have. Because if I see the skill sets they have, then I can maybe say, this person was originally hired for this thing, but they're actually really good at that. And we need that. And we don't have someone, so let's do that. So it's just allowing people to kind of show their true colors, as opposed to being micromanaging, which is something I used to do a lot, micromanaging.
Yeah. And I also think too, the micromanaging, there's this thing called situational leadership where it's like you slowly get them into the place where they're competence before
Hmm.
you completely let them go. And then they just are, you're just a coach to them. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I think micromanaging sometimes at the beginning, depending on the competency level, can be good to some extent. But as they get more competent, you have to pull that back because then that allows them to do good. And then you just become like a mentor to them or a coach to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
like
and
that.
John has a couple of questions. John, I'm going to go through some more questions with Mario, and then we'll answer some of those questions. But I know that we have about maybe like 20 minutes left. And we'll get some more time. I'll get Mario back on the show again as we ramp up this conversations show. But I did want to talk about your new project that you started because I'm confused on where you have the time to do this. Just like whenever I start something, you're like, where did
From
you have
10 to midnight.
like I just work all the time, but you have a family and a wife and all of these other things. So I'm curious to kind of deep dive into this. But let me share the screen here. But you created this thing called XRP Investor. Is this correct? This is you. This
Yep.
is
The XRP Investor. Yep.
not my website at all. That'd be funny. So I found out about this vis-a-vis a phone call with Johnny
Hmm.
because uh, because of the fact that we called you and then you guys were talking about this. Like, what are they talking about? So I pulled this up. So walk me through what the XRP Investor is. What are you wanting to accomplish with it, and also how you got the time to actually do it.
So I'm leveraging AI a lot to build this. Just full transparency, leveraging AI a lot to build this project along with a couple of other things that I'm working on. So I'm super grateful for AI. People, there's mixed feelings about AI. People are like, AI is the worst thing ever. I love AI. It makes my life so much better. I doesn't mean I'm not creative anymore. It just means that I'm able to be more creative because I use AI to boost that.
So when you
So
say you're using AI to build it, um, on my other show Mercury, we talk a lot about AI, probably too
mhm,
much. Um, but because I'm on certain parts of AI, I'm against. On other parts of AI, I'm very advocate, like a huge advocate for. But
mhm.
when you say you're using AI to do it, are you using AI to create the code? And if
Yep.
so, are you using Cursor or what are you using?
So I'm using Lovable, and Lovable is
Never even
kind of
heard of
like,
it.
yeah,
So
it's kind of like Cursor. I've used many different ones. Cursor is actually one that I've not used that much, but it is very highly regarded. So I have it on my list as I just Lovable works really well. I like the quality of what Lovable builds. You still need to have a good level of technological intelligence. So it's like AI is doing the coding for you, it's doing the majority of everything for you, but you do still need to have that sense of how things work, because if you don't have it, you won't be able to fix stuff, you won't be able to get stuff working correctly. So to answer your question, I've been doing this late at night. I'm not late at night type of person, but I got super excited about this and I was like, I think this is a great idea and I think it could provide a lot of value. And at the end of the day, creating a business, it's going to be successful if you can do those things, if it solves a problem and provides value. And I felt like having a centralized place where you can find all verified information about XRP was a great idea, because if you wanted to know stuff about the ETFs, you kind of just had to look online. If you wanted to find out information about the whales and the movements, you have to go search online. And so what I want to do is bring it all into one place so people can have this one centralized place where they can see everything that I just mentioned and much more. I've got a lot more exciting stuff that's in the pipeline that's going to be rolling out for everybody there. Oh, are you muted?
yep.
Or is it?
Because I was coughing. And so with this, you haven't talked to anybody about this, right? You haven't really put this
You
out
are the
into the
first one.
universe. This is the first one. So who is this is so it's essentially market analysis in one easy spot as it relates to XRP,
Mhm.
or are you going to expand upon that, or it's just for people that are in love with XRP?
It's just XRP centric. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to call it the
I'm
XRP
the XRP
investor.
investor, but I wasn't going to say that, but I thought I'd ask the question. But like,
But
so then who is this? Like, who is this? Who's the ideal person? Just anybody that's involved with XRP, so that they can really
yeah,
be kind of get a full understanding of it.
I mean, yeah, I think honestly, this is a tool that somebody who's just getting started with XRP could use, because you could leverage news to get to on a daily basis keep up with what's going on with XRP. You can leverage the analytics to see how the XRP price is doing, the dominance, the fear and greed index, which is specific for XRP. So like there's the crypto fear and greed index that everybody's familiar with. But inside of the XRP Investor, we have an XRP specific fear and greed index with 10 different indicators. So there's a social indicator, there's a price indicator, there's 10 different indicators that are going to tell you on a fear and greed level how that's performing for that particular moment. And it's updating for that particular case, it's updating about every 30 minutes. So it's, I think, in my opinion, for somebody that's getting started, to a content creator that does it for a living, they could go live or do their show and showcase these analytics to their audience, and then be able to educate their audience also on how these analytics are performing. So I think honestly, it's for every XRP researcher and an enthusiast.
Why do you think that from your perspective, and I know that we're getting close to time here, so I didn't get to talk about all my crypto questions that I had, so we'll have you back on again, where I don't have a meeting right after. When you have, so we could go longer. Why do you think XRP is so important?
Well, I think that the technology behind XRP and everything, that obviously Ripple being the biggest proponent, I think that, and this is not just my opinion, it's becoming more and more apparent that it's going to be a very important instrument of this massive transition that we're all anticipating. You know, transition with payments, transition with tokenization. XRP and Ripple continue to be at that forefront. So again, XRP may not be around 2 years from now. Nobody knows, but I think for me personally, I can't see
XRP not being around in 2 years, but I mean,
no, I know,
because I'm like, I would say, to be honest, like I would call myself more of an XRP maxi than I would a Bitcoin maxi, even though I do a lot of stuff with Bitcoin for the mere fact of utilizing it for leverage, right? Because we borrowed against our Bitcoin to get our insurance company, so we were able to borrow against the equity of it to start that. So I get that part, but I mean, with the fact that XRP or Ripple solves one of the biggest problems in the financial industry, which is creating marketplaces for foreign exchange transactions that aren't going to take you 9,000 hours to get that to work. And like companies like American Express uses Ripple, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. There's also a MasterCard. I think all three of them use Ripple now, if I'm not mistaken.
They've got connections, and
it's
just tokenization is another big prong of what they're doing.
So, but anyway, so why do you feel that we're headed that way as it relates to cryptocurrency, just for the change in the financial infrastructure? Just because think it needs to happen, or
and I think that all of these partnerships and acquisitions that Ripple continues to do really just enforce that, and they continue to create a more I think it's like becoming super obvious that this is either going to be a massive success, but I don't think it's going to be
or all of it's going to be some weird fucking gigantic failure at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, because just yesterday on I put out a thing because I saw CJV put it out, so that I went read on it because I've just been working nonstop. I haven't even caught up with any news that the operations of currency control is now allowing banks to buy and sell cryptocurrency, which means that they can buy it as an intermediary for their clients, which means we're going to start having more banks custody cryptocurrency, even though they can't hold it on their books as far as like long-term investments, which I think is a misnomer, but now they're going to be able to buy it and sell it for me and you and hold it on our behalf. Is where we're headed, and that's really big, because then that just opens up the floodgate for wide adoption of cryptocurrency, and people are going to feel safer for some reason going to their bank to have their cryptocurrency.
And then the other thing,
go ahead,
Jeremy,
Mario.
I was just going to add, and then the other thing too is that there's a saying that if you start a business, start something that you really have a passion for and understand. I've had a passion for XRP since 2017, since I first came across it, and I spoke about it for so long and did so much research as part of the years in 3T that it's just something that is natural to me. Creating the XRP Investor was just something that was natural. I understood it. I know all these different things that are happening, and I really believe in it. So I thought, if I really believe in it, I think it would be awesome to be able to put that into a tool that can also help other people and give one place. Again, the goal for it is just to be this one single source of all information that there is about XRP and Ripple, and for that matter, any other company that decides to leverage XRP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm going to go over to some of John's questions. So you guys can, so that's at the xrpinvestor.com, and people can go check that out. And now people can reach out to you on X and all of your social media and ask you about it. Now that we started talking about it, and you shared
the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, now the cat's out of the bag. So that's a good. So you heard it here first. So for anybody that you know that wants to be on the show to announce things that they're doing, just send them over this way and we'll do it here. But I do want to get to some of the questions that I know John had a few questions here. Can you guys bring up where you started out? Like you started at the bottom, like where I am at, and then you got to where you're at now. Mario, if you want to take that first, then I'll share some of my thoughts. I guess we kind of heard a little bit about that about you, but if there's anything else you want to add.
I mean, I was born in Portugal, lived in a village, not a lot. I come from poor. Nobody's rich in my family. You know, we at some point we did okay because my grandparents owned a bakery. They owned a business, and so they did okay. But then, unfortunately, then things didn't turn out so well for them as far as that. So like, I don't come from any wealth whatsoever. So it's all just about being resilient and continuing to evolve yourself, and just being aware of opportunities. Like there's this saying, opportunity knocks, but then you got to be willing to get up and go open the door, right? Because it's not just gonna be, we talk about manifestation all the time, but it's not just by a click of a finger. You got to be willing to put the work in. Like, for example, for me, I'm doing all these hours that you know that I'm doing. And so in order to put the XRP Investor together, I had to find time. And so I've been sacrificing sleep, for the last couple of months to put it together, because I believe in it. And I think it's going to be worth it for me and my family, whatever I'm creating. So that's what you got to be willing to do.
Yeah, I was telling Mario too. I've really gone into analytics for myself. So I have a Whoop band, and I think I'm like 6 years older on my Whoop age than I am in real life. And like the main reason for that is lack of sleep. Like it's adding like 3 years to my life for my sleep consistency, the amount of sleep that I get, and all of this. So again, definitely understand that. So John, for me, so I come from a place called Maryvale, usually referred to as Murdervale here in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's a very rough down, one of the poorest spots in Arizona. So I'm from there. I dropped out of high school when I was 17. Didn't have a place to live for a while. Eventually decided to go to college and really stuck with that. Got a bachelor's in finance and accounting. So for me, I've always been a big proponent of education. I don't care what that education is. It doesn't have to be like a university. It could be a trade school. It could be you just learning stuff on your own. But I feel that the more people take time to educate themselves, the better that they can pull themselves out of whatever state of mind that they're in or where they're from. And then after I went to school, I worked at the bank. And then to Mario's point, saying yes to things, I was in the process of starting a vending machine business, which I still probably will start for fun here. Because I like candy a lot, as Mario knows. And then CJV asked me one day, because he worked, I was underneath him at the bank. And he asked me one day because I had a YouTube channel, if I could help him with a podcast. And I said, sure. I know how to do podcasts, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just said yes because I figured I could do it. That's one of the things that I think that education does for people. It gives you a lot of competency in things that you're like, oh, I can figure this out. Like Mario, like I ask him to do stuff that he doesn't know how. Like I don't think he knows all the time how to do it. And he just goes and figures it out because he's had that experience doing that. And when you get the experience of trying to figure stuff out, you can say yes because then you can go and do it. And I think that's why you have to be. There's a mixture of luck and opportunity. Like luck puts you in the place of it, but it's also from what you're doing, and you just got to take yes, and that's when the hard work gets you to the next level. So I think that's good. And then I think John, you asked another question. Did we have huge liquidity events to help create our businesses? I just grind it out. I've had Age of Radio for 8 years, and it's now just starting to make real money because of the fact that I'm putting money into it from my other businesses. So it's just kind of like, and I don't like, I have other money, right, that's saved, but I just take as much as I can from what I want to save as to what I want to put into the businesses, and we just grind it out. It's really about living. I tell people I live very meagerly for the most part. There are some lavish things that people know that I spend money on. But like I love going out to eat. Going out to eat is my favorite one. If I can take my friends out to eat and go to a really nice place and spend a lot of money, I will do that. But like cars, I don't buy. My house is just a house. And like I don't know. I just wear my Merlin t-shirts that weekend. So I don't even buy clothes. Like so again, it's all about like the things that you're willing to sacrifice to get you there. But Mario, did you want to have any insight on this as well from you?
No, I think that you're spot on. Like you gotta be willing to get yourself uncomfortable sometimes as well. And that's really where amazing things can happen, is when you're outside of that comfort zone and you're pushing your limits and you're also discovering your limits. And you said it, like, as far as not knowing how to do something, but saying yes, you build that over time because you get put into enough situations that you have to do that. And then it just becomes like everything else. It becomes a skill. It's like the people that are really good at acting. It's like the people that are really good musicians. It's just practice and practice. So yeah, spot on.
Mario, where people can find you at linkwithmario.com. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, that's kind of just like a link tree type of page. You can see the projects, things that I do. I also give everybody a free guide on there for security and crypto.
Look at you. You did go from looking like you were 17 with that beard to looking like you're 25.
Yep.
Yeah. And the people don't know how old you are. So yeah, that's good.
Nope. But yeah, and then
if they want to learn about Omni, they can come here. If they want to learn more about
Merlin.
And you have your mentor society. I had that as a question, but I didn't know if you were still doing that because of the XRP Investor. What is this still something that you do?
That is part of Omni, actually. The Mentor Society is a community that we have part of Omni, which we basically, it's open, it's free. So if you're an entrepreneur or you want to start a business or you have a business, it's a community that we have where we look to just give people value, give businesses value.
Perfect. And then everybody go and get the XRP Investor Premium with $6, $10.
So it's $6 as part of the Genesis launch, which ends at the end of this month. Beginning January 1st, we'll go to our normal price point, which is going to be $9. All
right. So right now,
$6 for life.
So there's 86 people on here. I expect 86 people to first like this and share it with someone, and then go and get the XRP Investor premium membership, especially if you want to be up to date on what's going on in the XRP with XRP, because if you've talked to me or have heard me say anything or inside the academy, I really think that Ripple is one of the main things that's going to be changing the financial infrastructure, because it does solve a real world problem, a really big problem with the financial currency markets. So with that, Mario, do you have any final thoughts and final calls to action?
Absolutely. Just honestly, gratitude for having me on, Jeremy, and for giving me your platform to talk. And honestly, it's been awesome just having a conversation and kind of sharing this journey of entrepreneurship, which isn't always great. Actually, I want to say, like, it's probably a majority not great, but honestly, I think it's not great.
But then there's moments that are amazing.
Yeah. Then you have moments that are amazing, and then they make it worthwhile. Yeah. So it's been awesome being on. Thank you so much for giving me the platform, and again, for sharing the things that I'm involved in between Merlin, Omni, and the XRP Investor. But then, of course, always the 3T Warrior Academy, which is kind of where it all started for all of us.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for Mario being here, and thank you for having the conversation. So make sure that you guys go get the XRP Investor at the xrpinvestor.com. Follow Mario. You can get all of his links at Link with Mario, or you can find him linkwithmario.com or on social media at Link with Mario, and that's on X, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, so forth. Make sure that you guys listen to my show, Age of Jeremy, wherever you get your podcast. This live feed will be available on YouTube, and then it'll also be on Spotify probably tomorrow if you want to go and rewatch it, or if you want to watch some of the older ones as well. And we will continue to work to have more conversations with Jeremy. And as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you guys soon. Bye.